"Why don't we take separate cars this time?" my wife, Emily, asked casually as she stood in front of the mirror, fixing her hair. The question caught me off guard. In the 10 years we'd been married, we always went everywhere together, especially to her parents' anniversary parties. It was tradition. She'd drive, I'd complain about her music, and we'd laugh the whole way there. This felt different. "In case you want to leave early," she added, giving me a soft smile. It wasn't cold, but there was something distant in it. I wanted to ask more, maybe press her on why she seemed nervous, but I didn't. I figured she just wanted some space, and that was okay. Every couple needs breathing room sometimes, right? I leaned in, kissed her forehead, told her I'd see her there, and walked to my car. The whole drive, though, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Maybe it was the silence in the car. Maybe it was the way she looked at me right before I left. Like she knew something I didn't. My thoughts wandered. Was she upset with me? Had I missed something important? But then I reminded myself it was just a party, just a simple change in plans. Nothing more. Still, I turned the radio off and drove in silence, letting my thoughts swirl. The sky was overcast, rain threatened to fall, and I had no idea that this short, separate drive would turn into something far more meaningful than either of us could have imagined. I thought I was headed to a party, but I was about to take a detour that would change the way I saw my wife, our marriage, and the quiet, powerful way she lived out her love. Rain began to fall as I turned onto the highway, soft at first, then heavy enough to blur the windshield. The world outside grew quiet under its weight. That's when I saw them, a woman and a little girl huddled by a car on the shoulder, hazard lights blinking like a distress signal no one was answering. I slowed down instinctively, but my mind argued, "You're already late. Keep going." Yet something deeper pushed back, a quiet pull in my chest that wouldn't let me pass. I turned around and pulled up behind them. The woman looked relieved but exhausted, her eyes swollen, her hands shaking. "I've been standing here for an hour," she said. No signal. No one stopped. Her daughter sat in the back seat, wrapped in a thin sweater, trying to stay warm. I rolled up my sleeves and got to work, kneeling into the mud without thinking. Rain soaked my shirt, made the tools slip in my hands, but I didn't care. It wasn't about being a hero, it just felt like the right thing to do. When I finished and lowered the car, she broke down. "I was on my way to say goodbye to my dad," she whispered, voice cracking. "He's in hospice. I didn't think I'd make it in time." I stood there speechless, heart aching, realizing the weight of what I'd almost driven past. What felt like a delay had turned into a lifeline. Her gratitude was overwhelming, but I didn't need it. In that moment, I was just grateful too, that I listened to something greater than my schedule. That I stopped. That I could help. I watched her drive off into the rain, heading toward her final goodbye. And I stood there for a while, changed by what had just happened. By the time I reached the restaurant, the rain had slowed, but my thoughts were still racing. I pulled into the parking lot, expecting to see Emily's car already there. It wasn't. I checked my phone, no messages, no missed calls. Strange. Inside, the dining room was quiet. A few empty tables, dim lighting, and Emily's parents sitting alone at a long table decorated with gold and white balloons. Her mom spotted me first and smiled, though it faded into concern when she saw how drenched I was. "Where's Emily?" I asked, trying to hide the confusion in my voice. They exchanged a quick glance. "She's not with you?" her father asked. Now it was my turn to be confused. "She said we'd meet here." "Separate cars." Her mom shook her head slowly. "She told us earlier that you were both running late and not to worry." I stood there, dripping onto the restaurant floor, trying to piece it together. Emily had planned for us to arrive separately, but now she wasn't here, and she'd told them not to expect us on time. The questions piled up in my mind. Why would she lie? Where was she now? And why did I feel like I was the only one who didn't know what was really happening? Something inside me shifted. The detour with the stranded woman, the strange request that morning, now this, it all felt connected somehow. I sat down slowly, heart pounding. The anniversary party, the routine, the expectations, all suddenly felt like background noise. My wife was somewhere else, doing something I didn't understand yet. But for the first time that day, I really wanted to. I stepped outside the restaurant, heart thudding with worry. I called Emily once. No answer. Again. Straight to voicemail. The questions in my mind turned heavier, darker. Was she okay? Had something happened? Then my phone buzzed. A message. It was a photo. Emily stood behind a counter at a local women's shelter, wearing an apron, serving plates of food. Her hair was tied back, her sleeves rolled up, and there was a joy on her face I hadn't seen in a long time, genuine, unfiltered, full of purpose. She was laughing with a group of women and children, strangers who clearly didn't feel like strangers to her. Her text followed. Thought you might do something kind today. I didn't want to stop you. I just stared at the screen, stunned. This was where she had wanted to be all along. Not in a restaurant, not making small talk, but out there doing something that meant something. A second message came in. Every year, on my parents' anniversary, I volunteer here. It's how I honor them. Their love taught me to give. To see people. I wasn't sure you'd understand. But today, I hoped you might. And suddenly, everything made sense. The separate cars. Her calm smile. The way she hadn't tried to explain herself. She wasn't pulling away, she was pulling me into something bigger. Something quieter. Something real. I felt my chest tighten, not from confusion anymore, but from awe. My wife had been living out her values in silence, in service. I had been blind to it. But now I saw her clearly, and I'd never been more proud. That night, instead of clinking glasses in a crowded banquet hall, Emily and I sat side by side on folding chairs in the shelter's dining room. The air was filled with the sounds of laughter, soft conversation, and the clatter of dishes. Children played in the corner. Volunteers moved around with practiced care. I rolled up my sleeves and joined her, handing out plates, pouring juice, wiping down tables. It wasn't glamorous, but it felt right, like I had stumbled into the heart of something real. Emily looked over at me, her eyes glowing with quiet pride. She reached for my hand and gave it a gentle squeeze. Sometimes the detours, she whispered, are the destination. That line hit me deeper than I expected. All day, I had been chasing a schedule, a tradition, an idea of what the day should be. But she had been living the truth of what it could be. And sitting there beside her, I realized, love doesn't always need chandeliers or champagne. Sometimes, it grows strongest in the quiet, in the rain, in the unnoticed corners of the world. That night changed something in me. Not just how I saw Emily, but how I saw myself. From then on, we kept the tradition of taking 2 cars, but not to go our separate ways. We did it so we could cover more ground, reach more people, and share more of what truly mattered. Because sometimes, the smallest detours lead to the biggest purpose. And in helping others, we found something deeper in each other. This story began with a small, seemingly insignificant decision, taking separate cars to a family celebration. But what unfolded was a quiet, powerful reminder that love is not always loud or dressed in tradition. Sometimes, it shows up in detours, in unexpected moments, and in the simple choice to care for someone else. Through one act of kindness on a rainy roadside, and another behind the doors of a women's shelter, we witnessed how compassion can ripple outward, touching lives, bridging hearts, and transforming ordinary days into something sacred. Emily's silent devotion to giving back wasn't about grand gestures, it was about honoring love in the most human way, by sharing it. In the end, this wasn't just a story about a couple or a party. It was about seeing the beauty in what we often overlook. It's a reminder that the best journeys don't always follow the map, and that real love grows not in the spotlight, but in the quiet places where we choose others above ourselves. Because sometimes, the detours are the destination.